about reason and the thinking process, how we think, and we talk maybe a little bit about the limits of the thinking. And we said that in order to think, we have to have 4 factors or 4 elements that have to be fulfilled, and those are reality, because you can't think if you don't have anything to think about. And just to take an example, how would you describe, how would you think, and the conclusion is the description, how would you describe something that doesn't exist? Would you call it tall? Would you call it white? Would you call it difficult, or what? And so on. So number 1 is reality. You have to have a reality, first of all. And number 2 was the capable brain. You have to have a human brain, since only the human brain is capable of interpreting, is capable of thinking, capable of understanding the reality. Animals, dogs, cats, and so on, they have brains, of course, but their brains are limited only to eating, drinking, just the physical needs. They can't develop intellectually as we do. Number 3. Okay, what is the connection between reality and brain? My brain is encapsulated, our brains are encapsulated in our heads, and here we have reality. So the connection between brain and reality is the senses. And we have 5 senses. We talked a little bit about that. There are people who claim that we have more senses. We have the 6th sense, as some people would call it. And this so-called sense is nothing but the intuition. And intuition is not a sense. You can't sense something with your intuition. You get a feeling. But this feeling has to be verified, has to be, proved. Is it correct or is it wrong? If I feel that someone would knock the door, this is just a statement that can be true or false. What would verify it false or true? The sensing. So, once more we see that senses are only limited to the commonly known 5 senses. And number 4 is the previous information. Previous information. Without previous information, you can't think. And we took, as example, if you have a Chinese book in front of you, you're able of grasping the book, you're able of, looking upon it, maybe tasting if you wish, or smelling if it has some smell. But you wouldn't be able to understand any single word of this book. And the problem is not the lack of reality, is not the lack of brain, is not the lack of sense, because you have all of this, but it's the lack of previous information. So that's why if a Stone Age person would, in some way, revive today and he would see computers and cars and all that, he would get astonished. He wouldn't be able to understand anything about, he wouldn't be able to comprehend what's happening in the surrounding, since he doesn't have any clue, as they say, which is the previous information. No previous information, no possibility to interpret or understand reality. So now back to the question of the creator. And the word, when we talk about proving the existence of the creator, I have to admit that intellectually, when you're in the phase or the stage of proving, you can't limit to a specific something that you have in mind. You are Muslim, you believe in one God, and therefore you limit the discussion to the Creator, to proving the Creator. Why don't you talk about proving the existence of a Creator? A Creator? Maybe there's 1, 2, 5, 5,000. So why don't we talk about proving the existence of a Creator? And actually this is the correct point of view. Because in order to perform an intellectual investigation of this topic or any other topic, you can't allow yourself to be directed or to be limited to an idea that you find suitable or preferable, or that idea that seems more interesting. You have to be very fair, very honest, very sincere in your investigation. Without this sincerity and fairness, you allow yourself and even others to have their own ideas and proving them in some way by producing evidence that's from the beginning directed into some direction. So, talking about the existence of a Creator, question number 1 is, when we talk about the thinking process, how do we combine this thinking process and the limits with the existence of a Creator that we don't comprehend with any of our senses? So our main question is, can we think about the existence of God? Because if we start talking about the existence of God, then imagine how beautiful everything is and how complicated everything is, and so on and so on. And these traditional proofs of the existence of God. But you missed something. You just said that our senses are limited, and now you wish to prove that a Creator, that a being exists without having the ability to perceive Him, to sense Him. This is contradictory. It's not intellectual. This is bias. This is not sincerity. So, when you walk on the beach and you see some footsteps, to whom would you attribute those footsteps? You see some footsteps going into some direction, maybe human, or they seem to be human, anyone, or maybe footsteps of a dog or another animal or whatsoever. To whom would you ascribe these footsteps? To something. But why did you ascribe it to something? You didn't see that something. Regardless if it's an animal, if it's a human being, it's an elephant or whatsoever, but you ascribed it to something. Why something? Why nothing? Why not nothing? And why not nothing? Because normally, such steps or such traces, just to use a more general word, the traces, they are caused by something. And even if you don't see this something, you know that this something has been here and caused those traces. And when comprehending and recognizing this point of view, you would know why atheists are the lousiest detectives on earth. Because imagine an atheist who's working in the police, a police inspector who's coming and he is seeing a dead body, and he would say, he just died.